Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and today I'm actually about to travel. I'm going to go to Denver, the University of Denver, to speak at a Black Student Leadership Conference. I love, love, love events like that because it gives me an opportunity to talk to the future leaders of tomorrow, which I consider to be just an honor to interact with, promising young people, especially promising young Black people, because the leaders in our community, those who are empowered, who are fearless, who are conscientious, who are educated, who are capable, and who have a vision. Those are the people who are going to guide us out of the darkness. Some of a segment of our community is still struggling to fight through the weight of oppression. It's going to take several generations for us to really achieve the equality that we seek. However, it's going to also be something that where we have to plant the seeds this generation so that in the next generation, the one after that, and the one after that, we can see a better day for our community. And by the way, please forgive the cereal bowl in my back left right shoulder. I just realized it's over there. I was told not to put stuff like that back there because it's a distraction. But the secret's out. I eat cereal in the morning. Yes, that is the scandal of the day. Now, here's the thing. I was just reading about this scandal that occurred, a bigger scandal than me eating cereal, that occurred actually in Atlanta with the Atlanta Public School District, and it hits my conscience actually because I'm going to go to Atlanta in a week or two, and I'm familiar with Atlanta. I know Atlanta has a lot of Black people. I know Atlanta has a lot of amazing things happening there and a lot of struggles that it has yet to overcome. And in this particular scandal, there were 11 educators that are going to be sent to prison. And the reason they're going to be sent to prison is for the heinous and egregious crime of cheating on a standardized test, meaning they changed the kids' scores apparently because you've got this No Child Left Behind and all these other crazy mandates that basically measure a teacher's ability and a teacher's worth on how well the kids do on this stupid test that obviously doesn't measure much of anything because if you look at most measuring sticks in terms of how America stands educationally, we absolutely suck. I mean, to have a country that has so much money, so many resources, we are falling so far behind in education. It is embarrassing. It is a reflection of the fact that America is a country on the decline. We have sold and mortgaged our future. Our politicians in D.C. don't care because now they're too busy working for corporations. And good teachers are being screwed by this system because they're being forced to teach by a stupid test as opposed to injecting the love and the sincerity and the intensity and the critical thinking that a good teacher is supposed to give to you. They're not free to teach in the way that they see fit, the way I can teach you right now if you're here to learn something. If you're not here to learn, you're just here to listen, that's fine too. But when I am teaching online, I can teach freely. I can say what I want. I can express the idea in whatever way is necessary to get the idea across. In a classroom setting, unfortunately, it's been so bogged down by this worthless, meaningless bureaucracy that our children are being destroyed in the process, even if they get a quote good education. In fact, it's not for Black kids. It's got to the point where a good education is not really a good education. It's actually an intense indoctrination into a way of thinking that aligns you with certain systems that are designed to maintain the oppression of Black people all around the world. So that's one of the reasons why I always tell people homeschool your kids, even if they go to school somewhere else. It's okay to send them to school. I'm not saying don't send them to school, but when they come home, you've got the evenings, you've got the weekends, you've got the summertime. That's when your child is getting educated. If the only education you get is from school, you will not be educated. In fact, I know a whole lot of people that went to school a real long time that are about as smart as a pile of bricks. Now, 11 educators are being sent to jail. They were sent right to jail right after the verdict was announced, which I thought was just absolutely horrible. Dr. Beverly Hall was facing up to 45 years in prison. She was previously the superintendent of the year. She was an accomplished woman who maybe did some things that she shouldn't have done in order to get the test scores up because, again, we put this heavy, stupid, ridiculous, borderline meaningless measuring stick on these schools and make them adhere to this in order to get their funding. And so I can see where the incentive to do what you got to do to get the money for your kids is going to occur. And and it's not as if Atlanta's the only place this happened. Philadelphia and some other places around the country have had a very similar problem. And so rather than dealing with the system is the real culprit. The system is the real criminal in all of this. We rather focus on destroying the lives of individuals who are hardworking citizens, not a danger to society. I don't understand for one second why you would give a damn school teacher 5 to 20 years in prison unless they molested a child, unless they went out and shot somebody, unless they went out and robbed a bank. That's what state prisons are supposed to be for. They're not supposed to be for school teachers who maybe pressured other teachers into erasing some answers on a standardized test. Okay, fine. Some people say it's about the money, and it is about the money. I mean, the government, just so you'll know, the government will send you to prison quicker over money than it will over the harming of other human beings. They care far more about money than they care about people. Let's get that on the table right now. So even if it's about the money, here's the thing. Okay, you find out a teacher or a superintendent or whatever, manipulated the test scores, did something they weren't supposed to do, and then so they can get the score up, and maybe they got some extra financial benefits because of that. Okay, fine. Here's what you do: you fire them, maybe blackball them if you want to. And then you make them pay the money back. You make them pay restitution. You don't send these people to prison, not to state prison. State prison is a place where tortures occur, where rapes occur every day, and nobody says anything about this. If you really care about sexual assault and you're not talking about prison rape, then you don't really care about sexual assault, because that's where most of the rapes occur. That's where the victims are not allowed and able to go to the police. That's where the victims are forced to see their perpetrator or their assailant every single day for many, many years, and that's where they're being assailed on many, many, many occasions. Most people get raped in prison don't just get raped once, they get raped repeatedly. So prison rape is 100 times worse than regular rape, and not everybody who's a victim of prison rape is somebody who is a bad person or a bad criminal. In fact, many of the people that are the more likely victims of prison assaults and rapes and all these things are the school teachers and the accountants and the people who never hurt anybody, but maybe they broke a law, or they took some, they end up taking some money or whatever. And again, not to say that this is right, but the punishment should fit the crime. And I think that getting your kids to cheat on a standardized test is not a crime that is worthy of incarceration. America is sick with the amount of incarceration that it commits upon its citizens. It is a mental illness. Everyone else in the world sees it. The United Nations has sanctioned us about this, or spoken repeatedly about the human rights violations that occur mostly as a result of what happens with three areas: incarceration, education, and the economic system. They look at America and they say, you have two societies. You have a society for white people and a society for black people. Black people are down here, white people up here, and you think that America is somehow immune to these accusations because you're America and you're exceptional. Well, that's nonsense. America is not really exceptional in most categories that actually matter. If you look at our healthcare system, our educational system, the decisions we make economically and otherwise, none of that in any way indicates that we are exceptional people. And I'm sorry, I hate saying that, but in fact, that's the reason why I'm actually considering strongly moving away from this country, because I want to be in a place where intelligent thought is rewarded, ignorance is not exalted, and we don't have a country that is so hell-bent on locking its citizens up that it doesn't spend any time empowering those citizens, educating them, or giving them better lives. Now, so that that's the thing that that I wanted to share with you. And here's another thought. I don't see why in the world anybody would want to become a teacher after seeing this. I would be scared to death. Because basically what you're saying to me is that, okay, even if I'm a teacher who's going into it because I love kids, because remember, a lot of teachers go into this profession because for the love of the children, for the love of the subject matter. It ain't for the money. In fact, if I were king for a day, I would immediately make a law that says all teachers should make at least $130,000 a year, straight up, point blank. Every soldier would make over $130,000 a year, and anybody who declares war in another country and sends soldiers off to die has to send their children first. If you got kids, your kids are going to fight too. That would solve a whole lot of problems. We'd have far fewer wars in this country, and also, we would see the very best and the brightest educating our children, as opposed to people who maybe in some cases can't find anything else to do, or maybe people who are just in it and being tortured half to death because they're being forced to use their own money to buy school supplies because we don't care enough about our children to even make sure they have enough money to keep the paint from peeling off the walls. And that's what's happening in a lot of schools in Chicago, for example, where where I live. It's absolutely egregious. It's a complete embarrassment. There's nothing exceptional educationally really about the United States anymore. Our universities are good because we attract the best from around the world and they make our universities better. But American kids are being killed, they're falling behind. Once again, that's why I reiterate to you that if you have children, homeschool your kids. Teach them the things that they need to know at home. Teach them how to be an empowered black person at home. The best university in the history of the world is called Google.com, and the other great university is called YouTube.com. You can give your child a PhD on YouTube. There is enough science, enough information, enough knowledge, enough math, enough English, enough history, enough everything for you to get a PhD on YouTube. And I'm not kidding. There's so much information out here. There's no excuse for being ignorant. The only way you can end up ignorant in this society in this day and age is if you work as hard as you can to be as ignorant as you can possibly be by deliberately avoiding access to all information that might come your way. That's the only way you can be ignorant in this society. So I feel sorry for people who make that choice. The last thing I want to throw at you before I finish up is basically when I see the situation in Atlanta, I don't for 1 second say, oh, what these teachers did was okay. No, it's not okay. But sometimes you can create an environment that makes the choices for a person so narrow that creates so few options for that person, so many threats on that person's safety and security that they have no choice but to break the law in order to survive. It's just like we know that dealing drugs and doing illegal things is not acceptable. But if you are in a community where the educational system is broken down, there are no jobs, and there's nothing but violence all around you, somebody, a young person at 16, 17 years old, says that the solution for me is I'm going to sell some crack. It doesn't mean that the selling of crack is okay, but what it does say is that this person probably would have made different choices if you had given them more options. So when I see a teacher who's in a situation where they're already being severely underpaid, they're not given the resources they need to appropriately do their job, and on top of that, they're being measured. Their survival as an educator is hinging on this test that doesn't seem to have any relevance whatsoever when it comes to measuring how well you've actually educated those kids, and that pressure is being put down on you like a hammer. A lot of people are going to choose to survive by any means necessary. It doesn't mean that the noble thing to do obviously is to just take the hit, do your best, get fired, whatever, get demoted, get in trouble because you didn't do as well on this stupid test as they wanted you to. That's the noble option, absolutely. But can we really blame people when they find a way to do what they got to do in order to handle that business, get the money, and get back to the business of truly educating kids? Because I can tell you right now, if I see this test and I'm thinking this test is worthless anyway, but you're measuring my kid's ability to get resources based on how well they do on this test, I might be tempted to say, let's get through this test any way we can because we know this has nothing to do with how well I'm educating you. And then that way, once we take care of this ridiculous necessity, I can then get back to the important task of giving you the education and the love that you deserve. So, to somehow conclude that every teacher who was indicted, I think that they indicted 35 teachers. So if you're trying to convince me that every one of those teachers was a damn criminal, you are out of your freaking mind. I'm not going to believe you. You're a complete idiot, and it makes me mad that you would even think something like that. It doesn't mean that these teachers didn't deserve some sort of penalty for their behavior. Rules are rules, laws are laws. Some of the laws are stupid, but laws have to be followed. Even when they're dumb, we kind of agree on that, I guess, as a country. Even though Martin Luther King actually said that an unjust law should be broken, right? So that leads to a debate there. But at the end of the day, the punishment has to fit the crime. That means if a teacher does something like this, okay, maybe you fire them, maybe you blackball them, maybe you force them to pay restitution, but you don't put them in prison because they're not a rapist, they're not a murderer, they're not a child molester. They don't. You shouldn't take away someone from their family and put them in this dangerous environment that's not going to make them a more productive citizen when they come out. They're not. America does not benefit when we incarcerate otherwise productive, law-abiding citizens who are not hurting anybody. America does not benefit. America hurts because we're spending money on their incarceration. And then number two, when they come out, I can tell you what, the Dr. Boyce Watkins you see, who is trying to do good things, trying to help people, trying to do everything right and legit. I wouldn't be the same person if I had no options in life. So if I had a criminal record and couldn't get a job anywhere, and was put there was all this pressure on me and all these other things that I couldn't properly respond to, there's a very good chance I would be a different guy from the one you're talking to right now. And that's just keeping it real. So anyway, that's it. Let's stop putting our teachers in prison, and let's start empowering our teachers so they can have an opportunity to educate our kids. Because once again, America is a sinking ship. Let's just be real. That's what we're living on. And and I can tell you this too as a last point. I just went to South Africa and Botswana, and for those of you who've been brainwashed into believing that Africa is a backward country with no opportunities and all this other stuff, go take a visit for yourself. Go do some research for yourself. Understand that a lot of that is propaganda that was created by those who want your black butt to be grateful to your slave masters for saving you from all the horrors that might exist if you had stayed in Africa. No, that's nonsense. I went there. There are so many vibrant communities, so many amazing opportunities, so many things there that even I did was not aware of, and I was aware of a lot before I went there. But being there on that soil, the times that I've gone to the continent, have really opened my eyes in terms of all the opportunities that there are for people that want to live in other countries. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. I don't even know if it ever was, because you can't say you're the greatest country in the world when you incarcerate more of your citizens than any country on the planet. You can't say you're the greatest country in the world when you allow black people to have unemployment rates that are twice as high as whites. You can't say you're the greatest country in the world when black men and women are being shot down on the street and black babies and all this other stuff in these many neighborhoods across the country. You're not the greatest country in the world. So stop lying to yourself, and stop letting these bought out politicians in D.C. wreck your nation, because that's what's happening. Our politicians have been bought and paid for. We're not a democracy. We are a corporatocracy at this point. So America, for the most part, based on what I see, is headed downhill. That's all I want to say. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Please take care. God bless. I am gone. Oh, and one more thing I want to tell you too. We do have a new film that just came out called Resurrecting Black Wall Street. Resurrecting Black Wall Street is where we talk about the lessons that were learned during the building of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, where black people thrived and did better than many of the whites around them. And we take those lessons and we say, how can we flip that and apply it to the 21st century so that we can build a better future for our kids? So I hope that you'll support this film. You can pre-order it at a 20% discount off the list price. It's set to be released on May 1st. I'm going to go around the country showing the film, talking about the film. This is a movement. I hope you'll join us. And that's all I want to say. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.